Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
I just knew that it seemed too good to be true to have 2024 as a stacked year for Star Wars. Brace yourself, because here comes some of the unfortunate news, is exactly what we'll be discussing in today's video into the regards of Andor Season 2. Now, before you get into it in the comments down below, I've always heard two different directions about Andor in its first season. Either you really love it, or you just absolutely despise it. There doesn't really seem to be much of an in-between with that though, however. I think that there's a few select of us that fall in that in-between. I think I fall in between that. I don't necessarily absolutely love it as the best Star Wars project, but I do think it is pretty good, and I don't really hate it all that much. Anyway, point being is that we are supposed to get Andor's second and final season next year in 2024, around the fall time, the similar release dates around that August-September release as it did for its first season. That is up until now. That doesn't seem to be the case entirely all that much now, according to a new report. While Season 2 of Andor is one of the most anticipated new entries for Star Wars fans, the latest update on its release may leave many disappointed. Following the conclusion of Andor's first season in November of last year, head writer and showrunner Tony Gilroy indicated that the previously confirmed second season was set to arrive on Disney Plus sometime in the summer or fall of next year, 2024. Tony Gilroy then even reconfirmed that goal about a month later at Star Wars Celebration earlier this year, noting that Season 2 would use a similar time frame for production as Season 1, and that the show was moving along on its scheduled at the time. And that was at the time. Now, it seems to be in a bit more of a flux, especially with the now concluded Hollywood strikes for the actors and for the writers. An official Disney press release teasing upcoming releases for 2024 had omitted the upcoming second season of Andor. While this doesn't officially confirm that Andor Season 2 won't be released next year, it does make a delayed 2025 premiere window a whole lot more likely. And honestly, that might not be the worst case scenario because, well, for one, quality over quantity. I'd rather they take their time with finishing up the production, as they do have a couple weeks left of filming that they want to resume in the new year, early in the year, January through February, and finish up its filming. Also, with the fact as I kind of kicked this video off with, is that, well, it's a very stacked year for 2024 for Star Wars content, and we're getting a lot more content over on Disney Plus than just Star Wars. Not to mention we're getting a bunch of new Marvel shows as well. If you're a Marvel fan, we have our Marvel channel linked in the description down below. Making the latter option more likely is the fact that this listing included Marvel Studios' Agatha Darkhold Diaries, with its release rumored to come in September of 2024, even though that time frame wasn't made quite official quite yet. Nothing here is actually official, it's just seeing like this is what it's kind of pointing towards, this is what seems to be a lot more likely. And we know that, well, Marvel and Star Wars, you know, the House of Mouse, Disney, they don't want to co-release like two of their own franchises alongside each other. They learned their lesson with the Miss Marvel show and the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, releasing episodes on the same days and like at the same time period. Obi-Wan Kenobi overshadowed the Miss Marvel show quite a bit, and that's something that they saw, they realized, they took note of, and it's something that they don't want to fall into once again. They did a similar thing earlier this year actually though as well, with The Mandalorian Season 3 and The Bad Batch's second season. Having many of those episodes for both of those shows releasing at the same time wasn't the best thing for The Bad Batch Season 2, I think, at the end of the day. So seeing that they wouldn't want to have, you know, either franchises releasing at the same time, I think is a good note. It also takes away from any of that oversaturation that might be going on for either of those franchises, giving us a bit of a break, a bit of breathing room between those two projects. But with Agatha Darkhold Diaries making this list and Andor Season 2 being left off though, however, it appears more likely that the hit Star Wars show is going to be delayed from that initial 2024 release window. Although it doesn't seem to be fair, it kind of just is it is what it is kind of scenario. And I say that it doesn't seem to be fair because Darkhold Diaries still has a lot more filming to do and is still in the midst of its production, while Andor Season 2 is only a couple weeks away from concluding its production production and filming, and everything that they've already shot pre-strikes from earlier this year was already like put together, and a lot of the editing is actually already done. Star Wars originally confirmed 5 different live action and animated shows for a release in 2024, as we have discussed here on the channel, of course, in and out of videos plenty of times. The other live action shows being The Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, and for animation, taking that spotlight is The Bad Batch Season 3, its 3rd and final season, and Tales of the Jedi Season 2. So even if we don't get Andor Season 2, we still honestly have a pretty stacked year for Star Wars in 2024. Considering that Andor is arguably Star Wars' most successful Disney Plus show yet, critically, holding it off until after 2024 will only leave fans more anxious for more action at Lucasfilm and Disney to looking to getting back to work. Unfortunately, the writers and actors strike from summer of this year, as I had mentioned, heavily impacted production on Season 2 of Andor, with its production and filming only being able to be partially complete. But as I had mentioned, from what I have heard, is that they're only a couple weeks away from actually completing it, especially looking at how Season 1 took more than a full year to complete its own production. Not just that, but really none of Andor is done with green screens or special effects or anything of that nature. It's all done with like actual practical effects, which is a great point for the Andor show. And for another, we also have to take into consideration is that really Andor is twice as long as every other Disney Plus show. Every other Disney Plus show coming in between 6 and 8 episodes, while Andor hands us a whopping 12, making it one of the longest shows on Disney Plus currently. That is until we get Daredevil Born Again with 24 episodes, rumored to come out sometime next year. But we do know that, much like its first season, Andor Season 2 is also set to get another 12 episodes. Season 2 was already teased by Tony Gilroy, the writer and showrunner, to be very different than its predecessor with its first season, with the next set of episodes covering full 4 years of action between the end of Season 1 and leading up to the events of Rogue One, and with the show's stars even telling the direct in recent teases that various stories from Season 1 will start to cross paths, and this follow-up effort, anticipation only builds to see on how those adventures will be put on screen and come to life. So remember, please, as I had mentioned at the beginning of this video, this is not an official confirmation that Andor Season 2 is delayed, but just telling and seeing from this new release schedule that Disney has kind of put out here for the time being with its placeholders, this seems to be the case in the direction that they're going to be taking, although remember please, there is no official confirmation. One thing that I really love about Tony Gilroy, aside from his creativity and some of his other projects, is of the fact that he's very open to discussing and even teasing things about Andor. Like, he just reveals a lot of different things about this show, so I'm definitely certain that we'll get plenty of updates from him himself, if not from Lucasfilm or Disney. All of by which we'll be keeping you guys updated with here on the channel, not just Andor Season 2, but every other piece of Star Wars news, leaks, rumors, theories, and breakdowns that we're covering here on the channel. All the more reason to grab that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.